Good afternoon, good evening. This is the C7 Miniature Misinformer podcast. Welcome back, hobby gremlins, pile of shame apologists, and people who swear this is the year they finally finish an army before buying a new one. It's episode 12 of the podcast, and yes, it's a new year episode, which means three things are happening simultaneously across the tabletop hobby. 1. Everyone is setting resolutions they absolutely will not keep. 2. Games Workshop is releasing more boxes than IKEA. 3. And at least 5 YouTubers have announced they're leaving Warhammer forever. Until Adepticon. This is the only podcast brave enough to ask the real questions like, is it really quitting Warhammer if you still buy Forge World? And does minimalist hobbying still count if your minimal is only 6 armies? So grab your beverage of choice, thin your paints emotionally, if not physically, and let's get into it. This week's hobby scandals. The Great New Year Warhammer Exodus. Yes, January. The month where gyms are full, wallets are empty, and hobby creators announce big changes coming to the channel. This week alone, we saw a wave of YouTube creators declare, I'm stepping away from Warhammer and focusing on indie tabletop games. Which sounds noble until you realize it's usually followed by, today we're reviewing this indie game sponsored by Games Workshop adjacent retailers. I'll still cover Warhammer news, and also there's my Chaos Battleforce unboxing. This isn't quitting, this is Diet Warhammer. It's like saying I'm leaving fast food while holding a cheeseburger because it was already ordered. To be fair, creator burnout is real. Algorithms are cruel, plastic is expensive, and sometimes you just want to paint something that doesn't come with 4 errata PDFs and a community civil war. But let's call it what it is. A January hobby rebrand powered by resolutions, optimism, and the faint smell of fresh sketchbooks. We wish them luck. We'll see them back by Easter. This week's Community Watch. New store anniversary miniatures. Games Workshop has been rolling out new commemorative miniature to celebrate store anniversaries, and the community response has been predictable. Half the comments, wow, this sculpt is incredible. The other half, why can't I buy this online immediately at a discount while complaining about it? These anniversary models are doing exactly what they're designed to do. Get people into physical stores, reward loyal local communities, and generate exactly 1 week of online salt. Local stores love them, collectors losing their minds, and scalpers immediately listing them for the price of a small used car. Somewhere a Games Workshop retail manager is smiling quietly while locking the cabinet. Brush tips nobody asked for. Today's completely unsolicited hobby advice. Stop starting new projects when you're just tired of edge highlights. You're not bored. You're just 3 highlights away from being done. Every unfinished army starts the same way. I'll come back to it later. Later never comes. Later is where great plastic goes to die. Instead, finish 1 squad. Reward yourself with something dumb. Then complain online about motivation like the rest of us. Also, if you've bought new brushes because the old ones didn't work anymore, clean them, you monster. Now a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Games Workshop Resolution Starter Bundles Trademark Incorporated. Perfect for hobbyists who said, this year I'm buying less. Each bundle includes 1 limited run box you must buy immediately, a rulebook that will be outdated by March, and a free sense of guilt pre-installed. But wait, Order now and will include a half-finished spreadsheet to track your hobby goals, 3 unopened paints you've already owned, and a voice in your head whispering, it's basically an investment. Games Workshop Resolution Starter Bundles, trademark incorporated, because self-control is temporary and plastic is forever. Events and exposés. Warhammer 40k Miniature of the Year, Logan Grimnar. That's right, Logan Grimnar, High King of the Space Wolves, has taken home Miniature of the Year, proving once again that wolves, beards, and angry old men on a sled remain undefeated. The sculpt is excellent, dynamic, and aggressively space wolfy. Somewhere a Dark Angels player is muttering, yeah, but that's not lore accurate. Congratulations to Logan Grimnar. May he continue to surf into battle like a Viking lawn ornament. Battle Tome. Maggotkin of Nurgle, a lot happened. Age of Sigmar players blinked and missed approximately 1,000 new Nurgle releases. Highlights include Festus the Leech Lord, Putrid Blight Kings, Pestygoers, Rot's Worlds, the Court of Jelgus Pust, the Cranker Born, Pox Retchers, Spoilpox Scrivener, Regiments of the Renowned, the Pustulus. This battle tome isn't a release, it's a biological event. Painters are excited, opponents are nervous, and every Nurgle player is now Googling how to paint rust faster. New Spearheads, Bubonic Cell and Hellforge host. 2 new Spearheads dropped. Bubonic Cell for Nurgle enjoyers. Hellforge Frost for Chaos fans who like their demons extra spiky. Spearhead continues to do what it does best. Get people playing quickly, sell very specific boxes, and make everyone say, this is a great entry point for my 4th army. New Warhammer 40k Chaos Battleforce boxes. Chaos players rejoice. Games Workshop has confirmed new Chaos Battleforce boxes designed to answer the question, what if temptation came shrink-wrapped? They're big, they're aggressive, and they absolutely do not align with your financial goals. If you're trying to avoid buying one, remember, you already own half the models, you already hate assembling trim, and you absolutely don't need another army screaming at you from the shelf. You'll still buy it. And now you'll feel informed. Games Workshop reveals Warhammer World USA near Washington, D.C. Big news, Warhammer World USA has been officially revealed. Planned near Washington, D.C. This is huge. A flagship destination, events, exhibitions, exclusive merch, and finally a place where Americans can experience British pricing locally. East Coast hobbyists are thrilled, West Coast hobbyists are calculating flight costs, and Canadians are asking, cool, but what about us, eh? Rotating minigame. This week's outrage in one sentence. This week's outrage. Games Workshop released too many things at once, which is both overwhelming and somehow proof they hate my specific fraction. The outrage comes from Chaos players feeling spoiled but stressed, Age of Sigmar players drowning in Nurgle reveals, and 40k players asking why their codex is still coming soon. Social media cycles through the 5 stages of hobby grief, excitement, overwhelm, anger, spreadsheet creation, and acceptance via pre-order. Tune in next week when we report this exactly. Non-Games Workshop Roundup, Blood and Plunder, second wave incoming. Blood and Plunder is just back with a massive second wave. 175 new models, plus the rise of the Buccaneers Jamaica expansion. Historical gamers are thrilled, pirate fans are ecstatic, and everyone else is asking, Why does this have more releases than my faction? This is how you do expansion content, focused, thematic, and clearly designed by people who love the setting. Indie and other wargaming highlights, Atomic Mass Games continues pushing narrative play that doesn't require a second mortgage. Mantic Games quietly releases solid rules, while Games Workshop Twitter argues one-page rules players continue living their best lives, printing armies overnight and smiling smugly. The indie scene is thriving, not as a replacement for Warhammer, but as a pressure valve when the main hobby gets loud. Predictions and closing remarks. So, predictions for the coming weeks. At least one creator returns to Warhammer after reflection. One Chaos Battleforce sells out in seconds. Someone complains Spearhead isn't balanced, and Nurgle players ask for even more releases. Your New Year resolution will fade, your pile of shame will grow, and you will still love this hobby because beneath the drama, releases, and outrage, it is still tiny plastic warriors and friends around a table. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who says they're done buying models this year. This has been episode 12 of C7 Miniature Misinformer, where the outrage is brief, the news is real, and the hobby is still fun if you let it be. Paint what you love, ignore the noise, and we'll hear from you in 2 weeks.